Don't watch it.
No.
You're doing it wrong.
Do I dare ask you what's the weirdest thing you saw come out?
Probably the worst thing was a customer who couldn't get anything out. They had a clog in there. The clog ended up being...
So that's a myth that you need a tank additive.
100%. We give you the recipe to make your own.
Oh, okay.
It works like a charm.
Yeah, this is like a black tank masterclass. I'm Tom.
And I'm Cheri.
And we're EnjoyTheJourney.Life. You must be Jim.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Great to meet you here.
There you go, sir. Here's my business card for you.
Okay, great. You know, we've been looking forward to something like this for a long time. Good. So, Jim with Kleen Tank, and you are going to deal with one of the worst parts of RV living. Is that right?
That's my job.
People are happy to see you, right, when you show up?
They sure are.
Okay.
They sure are. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So what are we doing today?
So today we're going to clean out your black and gray holding tanks.
Okay.
And do you have an on-demand water heater?
No.
Okay, and we'll clean out your regular water heater for you too. We'll do some education along the way.
Okay.
Answer whatever questions you got, give a little bit of advice, and kind of go from there.
Great.
Yeah.
No, it sounds good. Yeah, looking forward to it because I think ourselves, like most RVers, it's like, well, it's the black tank is something you deal with, and you probably don't take care of it like you should.
That is 100% correct. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of people giving you opinions and advice, and you know, I've got 9 years of experience, cleaned tens of thousands of tanks. And
great, because what we like to do is kind of bust through the RV myths that are out there.
Perfect.
And I've got the products that we've used, or one that we planned on using over here. I'll get your opinions on that, and you probably have some recommendations.
I absolutely do.
So you know of the dozens and dozens of additives, which ones work and which ones
I can give you my opinion on them, and you can take it with whatever advice you want to give it. Let's go take a look over on the other side.
The business side of the RV. Kind of a strange deal, what we thought, with this particular rig, the Grand Design Momentum 381M. It's got two tanks, the black and the gray in the front like normal, but we have this third combo tank in the back, which the washer is set up on, and so it's like a funny combination of, you got to leave it open when you're doing laundry, but then you really need to close it up. So it may have more of an issue because it gets left open longer.
So the combo tanks, the one that are associated with the washer and dryer, those are okay to leave open when you're doing laundry, or if it was connected to a shower and you have a big family in there, that's okay to leave that tank open at that time. But in general, you want to make sure you're keeping all of your tanks closed so that they fill up as full as they can be. When you pull that pole, then you get that kind of nice big whoosh and that kind of cleaning swirl that goes through the tanks. So in general, keep your tanks closed until you absolutely need to empty them.
Even the gray?
Even the gray.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah, because what can happen in the gray is if you leave that open, you've got toothpaste and hair and whiskers and sand and skin and everything, and it starts to coagulate and makes these kind of bacon fat kind of like balls in there, and then they come together, and next thing you know, you've got a clog in your gray tank, and those are really hard to get out. You really want to have water as your friend in these tanks, so you really want them to fill up as much as they can.
Okay.
Yep.
I've heard different people say that. Just because of long showers and stuff like that, I've left the gray open.
Yeah.
I guess I'm doing one of the mistakes already here.
Well, your tanks here are pretty big, and most RVs, even like a 20 or 25 gallon tank, that can get you a couple showers.
Okay.
But you really want to leave those closed, and I know a lot of RVers leave their grays open, and I really can't recommend that you do that. It's just the best tanks that I have serviced have been the ones where they are closed all the time.
Well, I'll have to start doing that.
Yeah.
I opened everything up for you
Okay.
because I figure that's probably what you need.
Doesn't matter to me. Sometimes,
Okay.
generally speaking, I like to see what comes out, but more often than not,
Okay.
I'm working on empty tanks, and that's fine.
Yeah, they're empty except for the buildup, I'm sure.
Oh,
That's in there.
Are
So.
you using any kind of tank additive at all?
I mean, I can't say I catch every time, but Happy Campers has
Okay.
been the go-to. I have another one from Dometic that
Okay.
you know we've used once in a while, and I've
Okay.
got another one that's supposed to clean them that I bought, and I haven't used it yet. I forget the name of it, but I've got it on the picnic table.
Okay.
So
my big message to our viewers is that all you need to use is water.
okay,
You don't need to use any kind of tank additive at all. If you are using enough water in here, and there are a couple of things we want to think about, but enough water will keep these tanks clean. Now, we can talk about additives.
so that's a myth that you need a tank additive.
100%. Yeah. If you
Okay.
use enough water in there. So you're using the toilet, you fill it up, you do whatever, you flush it down, fill it up again, flush it down, fill it up again for the next time. 2 flushes, 2 bowls full of water is enough to get stuff down out of your toilet into the tank and increase that that water to waste ratio. That's number
Okay.
one. Number 2, travel with some water in all of your tanks. Yours are good size, so 10, 15 gallons, not a problem.
Okay.
Don't need to put ice in there. That's another myth. Ice does not work.
Oh, okay. Gosh, we should start counting these. So myth number 2 is don't use ice. I have heard that one. I have never done it.
Yeah.
So-
the reason it doesn't work is your size tanks, you would have to put 13, 11-pound bags of ice in there, and I guarantee you nobody is doing that.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
And,
that'd be crazy.
And we think of ice as being very sharp, but the sharp part, the edges, is what melts first.
Right.
And then in order to get the turbulence that you think you need to scrub those tanks, you literally would have to be going over a cliff. But what's helping is that ice is melting into water, and that's what helps to keep the tanks nice and clean.
Okay.
So traveling with water, when you get to your destination, if you're camping again, empty that traveling water out and start with 3 to 5 gallons of fresh water in every tank, so that
Every
we
tank.
can kind of reduce the viscosity of what's going to be in there.
Including the gray tank.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to say also a myth is to always leave your gray tank open. So since a
Yes.
lot of people do.
Yep.
So, all right, cool. Well, that's, again, we love busting through all of the opinion out there and just getting down to, you've got 9 years of experience
Yep.
dealing with, again,
Yep.
tanks.
Yep.
So,
and you use a tank additive that breaks down or dissolves things in your tanks.
okay,
You have turned your holding tank into a septic system.
really?
And what happens then is now that tank is full of peanut butter, oatmeal. It's very thick and viscous. And I'm guessing your tank sensors don't work?
Right, yeah.
They don't work because that thick mess that's in your tanks is gathering on those sensors and preventing them from reading properly.
Right.
And you'll tell me that you have a really good flushing regimen and you put fresh water in there and it comes out clean, right? But what I'm telling you is that the water you are putting in is the water you're bringing out, and all that thick mess you are leaving behind.
Because you're using an additive.
Yep, you're turning it into this kind of thick peanut butter, and it's sticking to the walls, and there's a layer of it on the bottom of your tanks. And I'm going to guarantee you, when we clean out your black tank today, you'll be shocked at what comes out.
Okay, yeah, maybe we can't show that on camera. I don't know. It might be kind of gross.
The first step that we do in our service is to hydrojet out your tanks, and we use this professional pump here. It's actually made in Italy, very similar to a pressure washer, but there are some important differences there. We're working at 1500 psi, 10 to 20 times the amount that you're able to get with your black tank flush. And I always say to people that it is a good thing to have a black tank flush. Use it when you're emptying out. Extra water, extra turbulence. Does it do as good of a job as we do in cleaning? Obviously not, because we're 10 times the pressure. We use kind of a flexible wand, helps us get up in there, and then specially designed, custom made cleaning heads. And what I'm going to do here is kind of show you what kind of pressure we're actually talking about here. So this is just plain water pressure like that.
Okay.
And then under powered pressure,
Wow.
we're talking some pretty intense stuff. So that's a jet about 6 to 8 feet long.
Okay.
Your tanks are about 9 to 12 inches tall. So you can imagine a 8-foot jet and a 1-foot tall pipe. It is actually cleaning everything out of there. It will get it as clean as it came from the factory.
Wow.
Yeah. So
So you could literally eat off of it, huh?
well, I wouldn't eat or drink out of it, but we're gonna clean them until they run clear. So,
okay.
So being a user of an additive that has a tendency to digest or break down something in your tank, I'm going to guarantee that you've got some buildup in there that's been sitting in there for a long time. So we're going to jet all that stuff out of here today.
Well, I imagine we've had this RV for 3 years now, so who knows what's going to come out of there.
Always an adventure, I'll tell you that. So I'm going to get going here.
Do I dare ask you what's the weirdest thing you saw come out?
Well, a number of things. Really quickly, I always see toys coming out of the, the kids throw down there. A can of energy drink once, cleaning wand certainly. I saw 3 or 4 cigars come out once. Probably the worst thing was a customer who couldn't get anything out. They had a clog in there. The clog ended up being 20 years of using paper towels instead of toilet paper.
Oh my gosh.
The entire tank was compacted and dried out. Took me over 5 hours to clean it out. And we do we do toilet and tank clogs too, but that was probably the worst thing that I've ever done.
So do you deal with the infamous poop pyramid?
Yeah, it's not, yeah, exactly. It's not as prevalent as everybody thinks it is.
Okay.
But, a lot of toilet paper clogs, things like that. Everybody thinks that you have to use RV toilet paper, and a little tip here is that you can use anything you want.
Oh, so we need to call this, I think, myth number 4.
Myth number 4.
That any kind of toilet paper is okay.
Yep, there are 2 caveats. Number 1, don't ball it up into a big, giant, tight ball.
Okay.
And number 2, the same thing I've been preaching the whole time, is just use plenty of water. But you can you don't have to use the expensive RV stuff. You want to use that 3-ply, double quilted vanilla lavender stuff, go right ahead.
So you don't need to bother with the whole dissolve test kind of a thing.
No, because remember, you don't want things dissolving in your tank. It's not a septic tank, it's a holding tank. So by adding things in there that are going to break down, that are going to create a peanut butter or an oatmeal, you're only making things worse in there. The best situation would be a tank full of water with stuff floating around in it. You know what I'm talking about. That just comes out freely and easily when you open up the gate valve. So when it dissolves and breaks down, that's when we have problems in our tanks. So
interesting. Doesn't Jim have so much great information about RV black and gray tanks? Yeah, just blowing me away, but there's actually a part 2 to this video because he's going to tell us everything we're doing wrong with RV water heaters. So you can subscribe over here with this QR code, just scan it with your smartphone or hit the subscribe button down below. That way you catch part 2 coming up real soon.
We're going to get going here. We're going to turn the pump on. It's a little noisy, but I think we can still talk over it. Alright, so we're going to get it up in there and do some cleaning. It should go right in your black tank. So what this does is it cleans backwards. The jets jet out behind, so as it pulls itself in, it's cleaning everything that's in your tank and driving it back down the pipe here. As soon as it builds up a little bit of water, it will start pushing it down. And customers that use those type of tank additives that break down or digest stuff, well,
oh geez,
that is unfortunately what we see is right there is just this kind of slow river of lava coming out.
Oh my god.
And that's what's been sitting in the bottom of your tanks up against the sensors now for 3 years. So
that is gross.
it is gross. It is really gross. but
Don't watch it.
No.
Hide from the camera.
thankfully the smell-o-vision has been turned off. You don't want to smell it.
Yeah, I have to say the smell is not great right now.
No, it's not the worst I've seen, but it's certainly not the best. No grade of A on this one.
Oh, not an F, not an A, so somewhere in the, what, C or D?
Well, you're definitely looking at a C right now.
Okay.
How things go. Absolutely.
That's just moving that sensor all around, right?
Yeah, that cleaning head, I'm moving it back, forth, up and down. It's I'm gonna twirl it so it's gonna scrub everything in there. And remember, it's like about a 6 to 8 foot jet inside your tank, which is about 9 inches tall. So it's literally scrubbing everything up there.
Okay.
And then, you know, this is what you would hope to be doing with your onboard tank flush, but you just don't have the pressure that we do. But using a lot of water and being diligent with your rinsing can help your tanks. When we're done here with the washing, we'll get into the rinsing part, and I'll show you a little contraption that I recommend every RVer have.
Yeah, you can hear it up in there doing its job.
So I'm just looking for a reduction here in 3 things. The color, you know, we like it to be not quite so dark and brown. That tells me I'm getting it clean. The consistency, we don't want to see that kind of river of lava that we saw earlier. And then just less what we call content. So, you know, more of a watery discharge than other stuff. But it's still coming out.
So now, it definitely went into the black tank, right?
Oh, well, if that's your gray tank, you have the worst gray tank I've ever seen.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely in the black tank.
It's like, how do you tell it to go between which tank?
Yeah, so in the beginning, we just leave all the gate valves open, and kind of whatever it finds its way into, we're able to tell by obviously the smell and the look of it. After we're done cleaning this black tank, we'll close it off. And then the only place we can go is your gray tank.
Okay.
Then we'll clean that out. This gray tank that's paired up with this one is your shower. Those tend to be a lot cleaner of the 2 gray tanks. The shower always tends to be a little bit cleaner. Actually, doesn't even smell that bad because it has a lot of soap in it.
Right.
And it'll clean up pretty quickly. And then when we're done, we'll move to your galley or your combo tank behind us, and that's the one that tends to be the worst. People always say that it smells a lot, and that's mainly because it gets a lot of mold and mildew growing inside of it. And
okay.
that's pretty typical of all tanks, whether it's your black or your gray or even your freshwater. They do get mold and mildew. It likes to grow in hot, wet environments, and that's all of your tanks.
Right.
In your black, you don't really see it because, well, there's other stuff in your tank. So this one looks pretty good. I'm going to pull it back here.
Okay.
So now we got the black closed, the gray is open. The only place the cleaning head can go is into the gray. We may have a little difficulty finding it, but yeah, we'll see what we can do here.
Okay.
Just like that, gets up into the gray. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work, but sometimes it just zooms right up in there. Like I said, the shower gray tends to be the cleanest. So if you had the smell-o-vision turned on your camera there, you would smell, like I do, some soap. And it's actually not bad at all. Sometimes the water will come out of this tank kind of gray, or even a white color, sometimes kind of foamy. But this tank tends to be fairly clean.
I guess all that soap build up and stuff in there.
Yeah, you know, you'll hear a lot about people saying, well, I put Dawn in my tanks or a dishwasher detergent or something. You don't need to do that at all.
Oh, okay.
Your gray tanks have enough soap in them from just normal use. You don't need to add any more in there. The key to all this, obviously, is just water. Using a lot of water. If you're in a camping in a place, an area of the country where water is not an issue, then just you know, make good use of it. Sometimes when you're down in those areas that are challenged for water, things are a little different there. You have to do a little conservation. But after you've moved out of those areas, if you're moving around the country, then once you get into a place where water is not so much an issue, you know, kind of overuse the water a little bit. You know, rinse out the tank a little more than you would. Add a couple more flushes of water, or start out with a couple more gallons of water.
Okay. So I guess that's another myth. I don't know if that's myth number 6, maybe?
I think it's 6, yeah.
To say that Dawn or any kind of additives to the gray tank is not necessary.
No, you've in your shower one, you're putting enough in there with the shampoo and everything you do. In your galley, washing dishes, plenty of soap. You don't need to put any more in.
Okay.
So what I am looking for here in gray tanks is mold coming out. I don't see any here, so this is a really healthy gray tank. And
Okay.
the pump, the scrubbing pump, is not getting anything out of here that's other than just a little soap scum. Is all really that I'm seeing.
So does that mean our grade went up a little bit?
On this tank, you're going to get an A on this tank.
Oh, yay!
Yep. So an A on this one. Not so much an A on the black. You're looking at a solid C on the black there.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to take everything out of here, and we're going to switch over and rinse out these 2 tanks before we move to that last one.
So does that mean we're on the B honor roll right now?
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I don't have high expectations on the galley tank, because that always tends to be a pretty nasty one too. So, but you know what? As I always say, room for improvement. Here's the one thing we use this this next little gadget here to rinse out all of our customers' tanks after we've scrubbed them clean.
Okay, I have seen those.
Yeah, and this is the one thing I recommend every RVer get.
Okay.
This is called a Valterra Flush King. It's a back flush valve, and it forces water back up into each of the tanks, depending on which valve you have closed. We pair it up with a water meter, so we're able to measure how many gallons we're putting into your holding tank. So
Okay.
the way this works is we just kind of hook it up right here.
And why would that be important to know how much water went in?
Well, let's say you have 50-gallon tanks, and if you meter in 52 gallons, you've got a little mess in there all of a sudden.
Right.
So we always meter in somewhere between 80 and 90% of our tank, of your tank's capacity. That way we're sure that we're going to be safe and not create a mess in there, but yet we're putting enough in there to do any kind of rinsing that we need after the scrubbing and cleaning process.
Okay.
For RVers who would want to get this device, and again, we recommend it for everybody, this would be a great way to rinse out your holding tanks, your black and your gray. You can do them individually. I wouldn't do them together. Compared to your onboard tank rinse, well, you don't have one typically for your gray tank, so you can't rinse that out, but this can do that. And then for your black, yeah, you have your rinser in there, but it's only putting a small stream of water in, where this is putting a full 3 inches of water, granted at a slightly lower pressure, but it's coming in kind of a wall of water into your tanks, and it's dredging out the bottom and the front where waste tends to accumulate. So once your tanks have been professionally cleaned, getting a device like this is a really smart idea, because it'll help to keep those tanks clean and them performing better, the sensors working continually, odors will be reduced, you'll have no problems with clogs, with capacity. So really this Valterra Flush King is really a product that we really recommend every RVer get, and pairing it up with a meter just makes sense so that you don't overflood your tanks.
Okay,
So
great.
We're going to flush out the gray tank here first, because it's the one that's open.
And we will put that on the Amazon list and a link down below in the pinned comment and description for people that want to pick up one of those.
So you keep one tank valve open at a time. Water is forced to go back up the tank, up the pipe into the tank. Right now it's only going to go in the gray because that's the only one open. Can't come back down this way because this is closed. We're sending a wall of water into your tanks and we're about to rinse them out. So in our case, anything that the pump loosened up and that might still be sitting in there that the pump did not drive out, this process will pull it back out and you'll end up with tanks as clean as they came from the factory.
Wow, nice.
Yep.
And those sensors and the vent thing should be fairly clean as well?
Yeah, so let me use a little visual aid for you here. Let's kind of pretend that this is your tank. You know, they're kind of like this. They're kind of, you know, a little wide this way, longer in the back, and not very thick. So if this is your tank in your RV, and this is pretty much the same in any RV, they kind of tilt down towards the front where the hole's at.
Sure.
And that's how stuff gets out. But stuff tends to accumulate down in these corners and on the bottom. And unfortunately, the sensors are actually placed here in the corners.
Oh.
So that waste that's kind of getting down there and thickening it up and accumulating is actually coating the sensors. And your sprayer coming in from the top just really can't reach there, can't drive that stuff out. This just gets thicker and thicker. So having your tanks professionally cleaned like we're doing today is really the way to kind of get you back to zero and get you back to how you were in the factory when it came from the factory. And then being really smart with water usage, not using a tank additive that's going to break stuff down and get us back to where we were. That really is the smart way to be using your RV. RVers that get the Flush King, I would recommend that they use it on both their tanks. Say you're camping for a week or 10 days, 2 weeks. Probably only use it once, maybe toward the end of your camping experience, about once a week, once every other week. You don't need to use it every time. 1 or 2 flushes with this into each tank is more than adequate. The more you use it over time, the healthier your tanks will be.
That's great information. Clean Tank, as far as a company,
Yeah.
you've got what, 12 offices? Is
We
that
have
right?
yeah, we have 13 dealers right now.
Okay.
My wife and I started out about 9 years ago, just the two of us, and we opened up our dealer network last year, added 1 last year and 12 this year, and we're the largest nationwide tank cleaning company right now, and expected to add about another 20 dealers next year. Our goal is 20 dealers every year for the next 5 years. So we
Okay.
are all over the country. We've got some dealers that are situated in certain areas, and then we've got some full-time RVers that are dealers as well, and they move around a lot.
We'll put your contact information, website in the pinned comment and description as well, so people can, I guess, reach out, see who's close by to get a quote. And wow, I mean, I am looking forward to being able to read my tank valves again, and this should help with that smell too, right?
Absolutely. It smell, sensor usage, capacity, clogs that you may have in your tank. It does it all. It's kind of an amazing process. Now that looked pretty good. I didn't see anything coming out of there, so I'm going to move over to the black tank. I'm going to close the gray and open up the black, and we'll see how we did there.
Okay, good deal. So what you were saying, Jim, is if people disagree with some of these RV black tank and gray tank myths,
Yes.
that go ahead, use the additive, whatever you want. Just you might be calling you a little bit sooner than you want to.
Absolutely. You know, I don't say that any of my advice is hard and fast. If you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. Keep doing what you've been doing. We are always happy to service your RV. If you follow our guidelines, you'll see us a little less often, and I think you'll have a lot less headaches with your tanks and your plumbing system.
And speaking of that, how often, if you are doing most things right, how often would somebody need your service?
So we always say, you know, have it done first. Whether you're a first-time owner, second time, third time, fourth time, you know, it's always good to kind of bring you back to zero. Even somebody that just bought their rig, but their sensors just aren't working, they've already reached that state where they need some assistance with that. So we can go ahead and do our service, kind of bring you back to how you came from the factory. And then after that, depending on the severity of what we find, we generally recommend that you do it a year later. And if we see a dramatic improvement, which we know you will if you follow our process, then you can go every 2 or even 3 years after that between cleanings. So once we teach you the right way to care for your tanks, then you've got the smarts to maintain them, and you don't have to see us as often.
Okay, is there information like that on your website?
Absolutely. We have an entire library of articles, both of our 2 main websites, cleantank.com and askcleantank.com. There are helpful tips on there. There's tutorials on how to do things like tank rinsing, sanitation of your freshwater tank, caring for your hot water tank. So there's a whole website's full of resources, because for us, a smart customer is our best customer. So a big part of what we do is education as well.
That's awesome, and
Yep.
and thank you for your service in the nasty area of RV living.
Well, it's nothing that I ever thought I would be doing for a living, but I got to tell you, I love meeting people and I love helping them, and that's true of all of our dealers are like family to us. So you'll get the same treatment from all of them.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, this has been super educational. I mean, me coming in here with 10 years of RV living experience and finding many things that I was doing wrong,
Well,
or could be doing better.
we'll have to see if we can bust some more myths for us here in the next
Yeah,
few
definitely. Yeah, let us know.
So let's do our first flush on the black and see how it looks here.
Oh, look how clean it is. Uh-oh.
Not so much, huh?
Not so clean.
Yeah. We got some more work to do here, some more flushing on this guy.
So you said you'll do this at least 2 times?
Generally speaking, a black tank will flush anywhere from 2 to 5 times. My record is
Oh, wow.
13 flushes.
Oh my God.
That was with an owner. That was with an owner who kept it up in the woods, and it was sort of the community bathroom.
Oh man.
But in general, anywhere from 2 to 5 will take care of the flushing after we've done the cleaning on it. And like I said, after you've had them cleaned, and if you get this this flush king here, then you're only going to be probably doing a rinse or 2 every time, and that'll be sufficient to keep it nice and clean.
Going for number 2.
Yes.
How many will it take? You guys can start making guesses in the comments right now. How many flushes? 2 to definitely not the 13 record.
No, definitely not the 13th. I have a number in my mind, so we'll see if
really?
if I can meet it. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
okay.
I've been doing it a while, so I can kind of tell how many it's going to take.
I'm gonna guess 4 is my guess.
That's
right
your guess.
now.
Okay.
So
That's probably a pretty good guess.
okay. How many of these do you do a day typically?
Typically, at a rally, I will do 4 a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. My record is, personally, I've did 49 in 8 days.
Oh wow.
So that was 6 and 7 a day. That was at a Newmar rally.
Okay.
We just did the Grand Design National Rally, and I and another dealer did 75
Wow.
in that time period. But typically I do 4 a day. I can do 6, but that's a pretty long day.
So this is flush number 2.
Yep.
It is looking better. A little bit, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, most definitely better.
Okay. So we are at the Lippert Getaway rally, or actually they call it a non-rally. Different than a lot of the RV rallies, but this is where you do a lot of your business around the country, right?
That is correct. Yeah, we go to a number of rallies. All of our dealers do rallies, and we see them as an opportunity to do education for our RVing friends. That is a big part of who Clean Tank is. So all of our rallies, we do seminars that educate people on how to care for their tanks. We have a booth usually at a vendor fair where we're there to answer questions that come up, and we always get plenty of them. If you ever see one of our Clean Tank dealers, just feel free to come up and ask them any question that you may have.
So no question is too dirty, huh?
Well, I'll tell you, I've pretty much heard every tank our poop joke there is in the world, but if you think that you have one that I haven't heard, why don't you go ahead and ask me or tell me it. So.
Well, okay, why don't you share the best ones you got?
Well, we are number one in the number two business, and we do have the dirtiest job, and sometimes we are full of poop or crap, so you know, there's all kinds of things we hear.
And so you service anything with a tank?
Yeah. Obviously, we've worked on anything from a small kind of weekend RV up to a multi-million-dollar motor coach. They're all the same. You know, they got tanks, they got pipes, they got gate valves. We all kind of use them the same way, so to us, they're all the same thing. A little bit different, you know, here and there, some little nuances, I guess, between different types of RVs, but essentially they're all the same.
Have you ever had a job that beat you, that you could not fix?
Me personally, no. There's never been a tank that I couldn't clean or a clog that I couldn't clear. Doesn't mean that I didn't spend the better part of a day doing it, but we're pretty persistent, and our dealers go through a week-long training that covers all kinds of different scenarios. They're always able to call me. We have all kinds of online references and offline references for them to look at as well. So our dealers are prepared for pretty much any contingency. But,
so RVers out there that are like thinking, oh, my tank's the worst, I'd be too embarrassed to have you come out and deal with it. I mean, they shouldn't feel that way, right?
Oh, not at all. No, not at all. You know what? I've cleaned tanks that people have thought have been terrible that weren't, and I have cleaned tanks that people thought weren't so bad that went home after a long day, and boy, was I sorry for it. But no, I haven't been really surprised by anything in a number of years. Pretty much everything that you can imagine coming out of a tank I have seen.
Well, I think one of the issues RVers have is they might know how to do everything right, but then they have guests that come in and throw stuff in there that should not go in there.
Yeah. You know, we've RVers that have kids or grandkids don't always understand as well as we do how the plumbing system works. So it's always good to go over that with younger or more inexperienced RV users. Just kind of let them know. Again, I keep coming back to water, but that is exactly the key. You really can't use too much water in your tanks, and using an abundance of it will keep them nice and healthy. So that's definitely the key to RV usage.
Well, that was number 3.
That was number 3.
I would say it still looked pretty dirty.
Yeah, it's getting cleaner, but it's still not too bad.
Okay, we'll see if I was right. This is number 4.
Your guess was 4, is that correct?
Right.
I'm gonna guess you're probably gonna be right. 4 or 5 would be my guess. Again, the record's 13. We're hoping not to beat that today.
Anybody guess more than 5? Does anybody win a prize if it's more than 13?
Right. Well.
So there's a question.
Yes.
So if it is something that takes longer than usual, do you have to charge extra for that?
The only time we charge more than our set price is if we have a situation like in an extreme clog or something like that. So most clogs we can get resolved within anywhere from a half an hour to an hour. We always do a cleaning when we do a clog call as well. So clogs are a slight upcharge, but they're the only time then that we really charge more. Typically just a cleaning is one set charge, no matter how much time it takes us to do it. Typical cleaning is either 2 or 3 tanks included at a set price. If there's a 4th or even a 5th one, we might charge a little upcharge for those, usually $25 a tank. And then if the RVer has a conventional water heater, so not an on-demand type, but a conventional electric or gas electric, then we also do a complimentary cleaning of that as well as part of our service. And then we obviously teach you how to clean the water heater as well. We'll get to that when we're done here after that tank behind us.
And again, make sure you subscribe to our channel with this QR code right here. Scan it with your smartphone or smash the subscribe button, because Jim is coming back for part 2 to talk about all the things you're doing wrong with your RV water heater. That's coming up real soon. Well, that's great that you don't charge by the hour.
Well, you know what? I've been doing this, like I said, almost 10 years now, and I know how long it's going to take. It just seems that having our service done for one set charge, that'll take anywhere from about an hour and a half to 2 hours, just makes sense. That's the way we teach our dealers, and they're all able to handle it within that time frame.
Well, and that's cool that a lot of your dealers are also full-timers, so they could just be in the park that you're already camped at.
Absolutely. They're always moving around if they're full-timers, and even if they're not, if there's in a set area, their service area tends to be within an hour to 2 hours of where their home base is. So, but we're always, you know, if somebody calls up and said, I have a clog in my toilet, can't use my RV, you know, we're going to get to you.
Okay.
One way or another, we're going to get somebody to you to help you out.
Do you guys do stuff like the RV shows like Hershey or Tampa?
Yeah, we don't, so far we don't exhibit there, but we will be doing that very soon. We'll be at the Tampa show coming up here this year. We'll be at the big FMCA show in March. So though we do a lot of rallies, we're starting to move into the shows as well, so that we have another opportunity to do some education. So this is the magic number you said, hey?
I said 4. I'm thinking it's going to be a little more after seeing what came out last time.
Well, I always look to see what comes out last. That's what kind of determines it for us. So it can be kind of bad in the beginning, but I want to see it nice and clear at the end. Here we go.
All right. Wow, still some pretty dark stuff in there.
Yeah. Well, again, we're working on years of tank additive that was breaking things down in there and causing it to thicken up and clump around in different areas. So we're rinsing that out. But I think you're right. I think we're going to have to go one more.
Shoot, I was wrong. So with number 5 coming up.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key, though. It's pretty clear in here toward the end, so that's encouraging. So I think one more flush is going to take it for us.
So, so why do you think that additives are being pushed if they don't work?
I think that there are not a lot of people in my industry who do the cleaning like we do. Nationwide, we have our 13 dealers. There's probably another 10 or 12, I would say. So if you think only of about 20 companies that are talking to RVers, and that's been a more recent thing, there's just not a lot of education out there. People don't know any better. There are a lot of sources, whether it's a forum or a Facebook group, a company, you know, kind of pushing a product without a lot of research behind it, or maybe that camper that camps next to you, that guy that's been doing it for 200 years that swears by a certain product or a certain process. So there's a lot of information out there, and again, you can use whatever you want to use. You can do whatever you want to do. I've cleaned over 10,000 RVs, and if you figure the average RV has 2 to 3 tanks in it, I've probably done 20 to 25,000 tank cleanings.
Wow.
In the last 9 years, so I got a little bit of knowledge, so I like to give that to people.
And I've also heard that some additives actually eat away at your tank. Have you found that to be true at all?
Well, so people use things in there that are more intended for a harsher environment, like a tank that might be a home septic system where they're really trying to clean it out, or people might be using harsh chemicals thinking that a harshness or an intensity is a good thing in their tanks. And I hate to say it, I hate to be the broken record, but I keep coming back to water, water, water. You don't really need to put a tank additive in there, and you really don't need to be using any kind of harsh chemical, especially. I've heard of people who put a whole gallon full of bleach down their tanks, thinking that that's a good way to disinfect it. There's really no need to disinfect your waste tanks. They're always going to have waste in them, so disinfecting them once only means they're going to become disinfected the next time you use them.
Right.
And things like bleach, which are incredibly caustic, can actually damage some of the seals and some of the gate valves in your tank. So you want to be really careful about using a very caustic or very intense chemical to do any kind of cleaning with.
So we can probably call that myth number 7, right?
I think myth number 7 there, yeah. So,
no, don't use bleach.
Don't use bleach.
Nothing harsh.
Yeah, now we use bleach, of course, when we do a sanitation of our freshwater tank, but it's at a low concentration and it's not in there very long. It does a really good job of eliminating molds and mildews in there, but
right.
You're only talking about a number of hours at the most where that's there, and then we're getting rid of it immediately and doing a rinsing process afterward to really clean it out. But you know, putting bleach or any other kind of caustic chemical down your tanks as a regular part of the care is just not a smart idea.
We're not looking for perfectly clear, right?
Well, as clear as we can get, I guess,
okay.
is probably the way. It's never going to be perfectly clear. We could probably do it 100 times and it would still come out a little cloudy. But like I said, I'm looking for fairly clear water at the end of the rinsing process. A little cloudiness is okay.
Oh, still some really dark in there.
Yeah.
Now that was 6, right?
That was number 6.
Okay.
I'm seeing it run pretty clear here at the end.
Okay.
So I'm pretty satisfied with how clean this is. That's what I'm looking for, is that nice clean runoff here at the end. All right, here we go.
So this is our 3rd tank. It's kind of a combo black and gray.
Yep.
And so you're saying it shouldn't be too bad?
Shouldn't be too bad. What I'm seeing here is some mold coming out of here. That's that black stuff.
Okay.
It's very common in gray tanks, especially those that aren't involved with the bath. The bath tends to, or the shower tends to really clean out a tank, but these kind of combo ones like this, or a plain galley tank by itself, really does have a tendency to have some mold build up in there. And that's some of those black chunky things that we're seeing coming out there. So that's, although not fantastic, it's to be expected.
Okay.
Gray tanks are hot, they're wet. They don't have a lot of what we commonly think of waste in them, so they're great places for mold to easily grow. And this jetting process that we're doing now will scrub all that stuff off of all the surfaces. We'll do a quick rinse on it. Won't have to be nearly as long as that black tank was. And we'll get this one all cleaned up.
Yeah, we're not really getting the sludge coming out, are we?
No. It is pretty smelly though, and bad gray tanks can smell kind of sour or even moldy or mildewy smelling. It's just the mold that's in there that kind of gives them that bad smell.
Okay.
Like I said, this is a pretty low level of mold that's in here. I've seen it come out kind of big slimy chunks that really kind of turn your stomach, make you kind of get up and walk away. This one doesn't look too bad at all, actually.
Okay. Well, it says a bathroom, it's not used that much, basically, for the washing machine.
Yep. And that's the one time when I say that it's probably okay to leave your gray tank open, is when you're doing laundry. You're tending to process a lot of water through that tank, so if you keep it closed, you're going to be out here all the time opening and closing. So if you're going to have a laundry day in your RV, go ahead and leave that gate valve open, the one up here, and just let that water kind of flow through. And then after you're done, close it up, let it build up again till it's almost full, and then open it up and empty it out after that.
Okay.
Again, I'm looking for kind of a reduction in color here. I don't want it to be as dark a brown or dark as gray in color, and we don't want to see any chunky stuff coming out anymore. It looks like we're getting to that point. And then we also want the liquid coming out to be fairly thin, almost water-like. We are just about there. Let's move on to that rinsing process.
Okay.
Again, we're going to use that Flush King we talked about. So you can see it a little better here. You can see how the water meter is working. It's
Right.
counting the amount of gallons that are going in. The top number is how much we're putting in now. That bottom number is just an aggregate number. It doesn't really mean anything.
Okay.
Not relevant, I guess, to what we're doing right now.
Are these less flushes as well?
The combo tanks do tend to be less flushes. Obviously, the
Okay.
black tank is the worst.
Right.
I'd say 1 to 3 flushes on this guy. Want to take a guess?
Ooh.
Let's see, I was pretty close last time. Okay, I'll say 3.
Three on this one, you think?
Yeah.
I got a number. I don't think it's going to be that high.
Okay.
I think we're going to get through this one pretty quickly.
All right.
Again, this flush king is a good idea. You may not always have a flush out capability or a rinser attached to a combo tank, so in those cases where you don't, having one of these flush kings is a good idea. Again, I recommend them for every RVer.
And you said that was, you could roughly get maybe what, 3 times the pressure from a regular
Well, we're looking at, this is going to be the park pressure here, so
okay.
Here at this park it's not that high, so we're probably looking at maybe 40-50 psi going in, but you'll see this is a 3-inch pipe, so you've got kind of a wall of water that's going in there, so it's doing a really good job of agitating and kind of cleaning from the bottom.
Okay.
Whereas a tank flusher just kind of sprays on the top at a certain little pattern. It's got a minimal spray that stream that comes out. It is a little higher pressure, but this is just more of a mass of water that's being pushed up in there. I feel it just does a better job.
So we can maybe call that myth number, is that 7 or 8?
It might be 8.
Myth number 8 is that the regular sanitization of an RV does not clean the tank.
Yeah, the tank sprayer does not do what I would say an adequate job in cleaning out the tanks.
Better than nothing, but doesn't do
Absolutely.
all of it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you use that and you use one of these,
Yep.
then you're going to be doing the best that you could probably possibly do without getting help.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if you've had the chance to have them cleaned professionally by a company like ours. We've gotten them as clean as they come from the factory. Now you're just maintaining them that way.
Okay.
Yep. In a minute here, when we're done with this, we're going to talk about a tank additive that I would recommend. And there is a specific one that we personally have been using for about 11 years. Our company recommends it. Every time you get a service done by us, we give you a bottle of it. We give you the recipe to make your own.
Oh, okay.
It works like a charm.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. Rinse number 1, right?
Okay. Well, it's not looking too bad, is it?
No.
Wow. Yeah, maybe 3 is too many.
Oh, 3 is much too many. So here we are with rinse number 2 on the combo tank.
And you think this is probably it, right?
Oh, I'm going to say this is going to be it. Not
Okay.
a problem at all. We may see some bubbles coming out of there, a little bit of flaky stuff, but not too bad there. We're going to look toward the end, see what happens.
Okay.
And this is what I'm looking for right here. This is my point of judgment here.
Okay.
If this comes out nice and clean, then I am good to go with this tank.
Okay, great.
I don't see any problems here at all.
Good deal.
So we have all your tanks cleaned up. Before we move to the water heater, which will be really quick, let's talk about tank additive real quick. Every RVer, including me, wants to put something in their tanks, and I understand that. And so we've came up with this concoction. It's something you've doubtlessly heard about. It's a mixture of Calgon and Pine Sol. Calgon and Pine Sol does 2 things. The Calgon in here breaks the surface tension of water, sort of like the old Calgon Take Me Away. If you have any viewers that are a little on the older side, they'll remember that commercial. It makes everything slippery in your tanks. So the addition of Calgon or use of Calgon will keep everything slick, and it'll prevent a buildup inside your tanks. The Pine Sol is a great disinfectant, kills molds, mildews, viruses, and bacteria. This solution that we give away in this size bottle, pre-mixed to everybody that we do a service for, is ready to go. For the most part, every RVer will put a cup or a fourth of a bottle into every tank, including your gray. So in your grays, that Pine Sol will help to fight that mold buildup. In the blacks, the combination of the 2 will keep them nice and clean. The recipe, if you get one of these bottles, for this size bottle is on here. More importantly, on the back of all of our business cards and every piece of literature we have on our website, Facebook groups, everything, we give you the recipe to make a gallon of it. You can make a gallon of it on your own for about 10 bucks. It is the cheapest tank solution you will ever use, and I guarantee you once you start using it, you will love it.
Wow,
So,
cool.
we always give that away. That's kind of one of the things that we do with our company is freely give away our preferred tank solution for people to use. But again, water, water, water is what you need.
Okay, awesome. We'll look forward to using that.
Yeah. So we've cleaned you up. Hope you don't mind if I share a little bit with the world how you did.
My failing, well, not failing, but my C, right?
You got a C on the black tank.
Okay.
You got some really heavy debris. That's 3 years of stuff building up
Okay.
from using a tank additive that breaks down or dissolves stuff. That's kind of a no-no.
Okay.
Your number one gray tank, that's your shower or your shower galley combo. A B in there, a little bit of mold, but not something too bad. That back one, that combo tank, you got an A on that one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
2 A's and a C.
An A, a B, and a C.
Oh, A, B, C. Okay.
Yeah, and then
All
your,
right.
your water heater, you got a B on there just because there was some buildup in there. Make sure you're doing that quarterly maintenance on it.
And we're not done with just black and gray tanks. Jim has so much great information. There is a part 2 to this video. It's all the things you're doing wrong with your RV water heater. And that's going to be in part 2. So hit this little code over here. That will get you subscribed, or smash that subscribe button. And we will see you in part 2. And I had a cheap anode.
And you had
in
a
there.
cheap anode, so we put a new one in there for you.
Okay.
We always give a little thank you bag when we're done with service. A little sticker there that tells you who did it and when they did it. We put your receipt in there. And then we always give you a bottle of that tank solution we talked about.
Okay.
I like to tick off how much to put in there. So down your toilet, down your galley or shower, and then down that combo. So you're talking about a cup per tank. That's black and gray. Follow it with a little bit of water so it gets down in the tank there, and then you'll add this every time you have emptied. So
Okay.
empty them out, and then you use this, and then the
Okay.
little goodie bag has some information in there, and
Wow.
that's it.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jim.
You are
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
You are welcome.
Yeah, this is like a black tank masterclass here
Not a problem.
for us and the viewers, because yeah, again, it's just such a necessary area that's not exactly fun to deal with.
Absolutely. And if anybody has questions, they can give us a call. We have an 800 number. It's 844-KLEEN-ME. That's KLEENME. Or you can find us online at cleantank.com or askcleantank.com.
And we will put all that contact information down below in the description and the pinned comment. And for our next video, you can click right over here.